the ability to speak our truth and not feel that we need to be silenced is liberating. And I mean, listen, we wouldn't have anything to talk about really if they just acted like normal people. So thank you for the content, guys.
For real.
Welcome to MUSE on the Mic 1 year anniversary. I'm Riley.
And I'm Emily. Thanks for joining us on this amazing episode. Woohoo!
I
1
cannot
year.
believe it's been 1 year.
It's
1 year
been 1
spending with
year,
you guys.
right? People listening to us talk about all kinds of nonsense, a little bit of logic. Definitely listen to me laugh endlessly.
Laugh,
I learned
rant,
to
educate
forget us.
us. You do it
It's
all,
in
Emily.
between the giggles. Hilarious. I'm so excited everybody's here. Before we get into all the good stuff, like the video, subscribe to the channel for sure. It helps us push the pod through the algorithm here. Join us on Patreon for sure. Subscribe over there for exclusive content, extra episodes, and every Sunday night with Riley for just the tip. And for anybody who's new, we are the owners of a body rub parlor, a spicy, happy ending massage parlor in Toronto, Canada. And welcome to MUSE on the Mic, where we talk about everything behind the scenes and all the madness that happens in the adult industry, sex, relationships, you name it. So I think I'm going to start us off with a bit of feedback from the clients, from the viewers, from guests, from everybody.
Yeah.
We got some good shit. You ready, see?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Oh, it's so heartwarming. I love seeing the feedback. It's like our 1 year in review, essentially, is this episode. And I love starting with some of the feedback we've gotten from people because it really ranges. Like, there's fans and followers, but there's also girls in the industry, girls that have worked for us before, our friends and family. Like, it's such a community and there's so much love. I just love it.
I agree. I get excited when I get the feedback. I screenshot it and save it for moments like this because it's so like reassuring. And I mean, I feel the same when we get great reviews or feedback from a customer who's been to the spa, right? It's exciting. It's invigorating. It makes you like more determined or like more excited. And I feel like with this, it always pushes us to kind of get better at being podcasters, which is totally a new career for us. But feeling more comfortable in our skin and feeling comfortable even in the choice of topics and the ranges we go, which we try to stick somewhat to the industry most of the time. But sometimes it's fun to like veer off into something random. But even when people are like, you know what, that was awesome to see something different from you guys, it's really kind of cool. I've enjoyed this so very much. And hearing from clients and viewers and subscribers is just the best.
So much
Gold
fun.
star.
It's so much fun. I mean, it's been such a journey. And I mean, I know we've both said this before. No one else I would go on this journey with, but it's been a ride. And when I look back to like episode 1, which was a really important one, which is really the reason we started this pod, is we had this big announcement to make. And what better way to be, face forward to make it was in selling Vaughn. And when I look back at that episode, it will always hold a special place in my heart. But my God, I cringe.
I think it was about a week ago. I sent you a screenshot of a tweet that said to never delete your first video because you never know when it'll take off, right? It could have
Yeah.
2 views now, but 3 years from now, it could have 20,000 views and suddenly catch some trend or something that's now applicable. And one of our very first episode is one of our most watched, actually, which is both cringy and awesome. Because it's total cringe material, which makes it even more sentimental, I think. Because, listen, a lot of the stuff in our early years of anything are totally cringe-worthy, right? Some of the photos that you never let me post because you're like, do not ever show that is from our earliest years. And yeah, they're cringy. I mean, we looked like babies, but like, God, those experiences were just dreadful. It's interesting to see how awkward we were.
Is when you look back, whether it's at like an old photo or in our case, our first episode,
I
actually felt comfortable in the way I looked or confident. And I mean, confidence is key, like we talk about on the pod, but my God. It was so
It's
bad.
funny. It's funny how the confidence can fade through hindsight, right? Which is
Right.
ironic because I think, especially for women, we look back on our bodies from like high school, college. We're like, oh, I'd kill for that tummy again, or I'd kill for that booty, or, whatever it is, or like no wrinkles, or my no gray hair, whatever, whatever. And it's kind of the opposite with cringe because you're like, I felt fine then. I do not feel fine about this now.
No. But it's funny how
Dreadful.
things change. And I want to talk about some of like our favorite episodes or those that we wish we didn't do or, anything in between. But it's funny when I look back because I used to, I mean, we were both kind a little bit insecure about being on camera, more so me because you've had experience with that or more than I have. But I remember even being insecure of my voice. Like to hear my own voice in a voicemail used to make me like, ooh, like nails down a chalkboard. I couldn't stand it. Whereas I've really overcome it. Like I'm actually not even insecure about it.
I love that. I love that for you so much. That's so wonderful. I feel like this pod has helped both of us grow in so many different ways. There's definitely more comfort in front of the camera.
Mhm.
Um, but I feel like we're much more comfortable in speaking our truth now, which I think camera or no camera is really impactful, not just for business, but for our own personal lives as well. I mean, I have very different conversations with people now whenever I get like the what do you do for a living kind of question
Right.
than I did a year ago. And I've always been pretty open about, the fact that I used to work and what my life was like, how many years, the crazy
Yeah.
clients, the weird shit that would happen, all that. But I feel so much more confident about that. That even if I didn't, people can find it on YouTube. So fuck,
Right.
cat's out the bag, right? So be damned my insecurities because there's no point. It's already out there. So I feel like we're so much more secure and comfortable in not just who we are, but we have some upcoming guests on the show that are completely new to us, right? They're
Yeah.
not people we're familiar with. And we've made new connections with people in this industry and the adult industry as a whole through the podcast and being able to have cool conversations with people that are activists or people that are, independent escorts in Europe or, all these little things that happen on Twitter and in the DMs and in the comments on the pod. And it just keeps expanding our community. And I've absolutely loved that. I feel like it makes us wiser.
I think so. I've definitely learned a
That's
lot by doing the pod, mostly from you, because let's face it,
Aw.
Emily is like a well of knowledge. Like she just is when it comes to like the adult industry and sex. And as much as I think I know, sometimes I learn something every time we record. So, and I mean, I'll even say doing the tips, which is a more recent venture, is me learning constantly. This is not like a bank of stuff I have in my brain. I'm trying to research and learn things to come up to talk to you guys about. And really I'm learning along with you. So it's really been like a learning journey for me.
I love that so much. You've grown so much. I love watching your tips. Um, our editor and I are always like, she's so good at this. Like, you underestimate how good you are because the delivery is really good. You always look smoking hot when you're talking about hot material, which is just a bonus. But it's the way you explain things. You explain things in a very different way than I ever would. And even if it's something I already know, you tend to bring up points or it's points that I haven't thought about in a while where I'm like, damn, I forgot about that, or I just learned that from her. So it's mutual on the viewer side too. I love Riley's Just the Tip. I
No,
think it's one of our best pieces of content that we put out. So guys, make sure Patreon Sunday nights 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
I love it.
Don't miss it. And if you subscribe, you can see all the ones from previous weekends as well. It's not like they disappear. I think people think that sometimes, but they're there for good. Forever. Everything lives forever on the internet. But it's been really interesting to kind of share some of our knowledge because we both have different pieces of information and different ways of communicating, like I just said, but kind of putting it together and then putting it out to people, it really kind of shows how our dynamic works and how we both bring very different things to the table. I think personality wise, we have some very serious like similarities and some
Mhm.
absolute opposites.
Mhm.
that yin and yang so well together. Like we don't disagree on the fundamentals, like our like the
Right.
beliefs, the goals for the company, but our ideas, our creativity, our methods of delivery are so different. And I feel like people have always known, if they've known about Muse or about this industry, especially in Toronto, about us, but here they are getting to know us. And I think that's really cool. I think it's been helpful for our staff too that love to watch the pod, even longtime customers. There are clients that used to be my clients that are long-term customers of Muse as well that are still like, I never knew that about you. Like, well, I'll be damned.
You just got to watch any of our Q&A episodes. You'll learn a lot about us. But it's funny what you say about our staff too, because you were just telling me that two of our staff just yesterday were in the gym working out together, both with their own earbud, listening to the pod. And I love that for them. Like, I love that the staff, there's a few episodes in particular we've suggested they watch because it would be
Yeah.
just helpful for them in their career. But I think quite a few of them, even if you subscribe to the Patreon, I love their support, but I love that they're listening, because if they're listening, they're going to get all of it that much sooner.
It's true. And people have different learning techniques, right? Some people can
Mhm.
learn in person, some people like to read things, some people are very audio. So for girls that are like that like to listen to things and learn, I think for any, listen, not that we want to give all our secrets away, which we don't. I think any sex worker would learn some stuff about just the ins and outs of the business, because whether you're in a strip club, whether you're in an escort, or whether you're in a massage parlor or a dungeon, a dominatrix, whatever, the basics of the name of the game is still the same, right? You want to make X amount of dollars per client. You need X amount of regulars. This is how you build regulars. Like there's certain formula to it. And I think we give enough information that if someone was really smart, and for all our lovely haters that definitely tune in, y'all are paying attention to the wrong parts. All that distracted energy on hate, you could be learning like step by step on how to do,
Yeah,
and then beat us at our own game, which they will never do anyways. But
I love it.
shame on them, but yay for us.
Well, let me ask you, Emily, in
Sure.
starting out the pod a year ago, what did you expect this journey to be, and what has it been for you?
Ooh. I expected it to, this is going to sound so familiar to our early years. I expected it to be immediately trending. Expected it to blow up right away. I am still convinced if people knew that there was a podcast that wasn't just sex workers, telling their secrets, or a stripper talking about her moves, or something like that. There's no owners out there. And if they knew, they'd be like, no, that's fucking interesting, because there's even around the globe a lot of countries where there are no rub and tugs, right? It's not legal. It's really strict or really conservative. And so to even know that they exist, let alone how freely we speak about them, even when we go into law and legalities and licensing, to hear all these tidbits, it's just super interesting, right? And it reminds me of anytime you're having a vanilla conversation at a normal, like dinner party or a Christmas party or a water cooler talk or something. And people are like, what do you do? And what do you do? And what do you do? And you're like, let me tell you some shit. You're going to kill the whole conversation and take over, because no one cares about Susan, who's a nurse, anymore, because they just ask you a million questions. And try as you might in any environment, people find it super interesting. So
Right.
what may seem routine to us, I remember trying to convince you to do the pod, because it did take a little convincing. I was like, I promise you this is interesting. And I feel like a year in, we are now seeing some growth. We are now seeing different platforms take off. Our Patreon is doing really well. Our social media is growing. Our YouTube channel is slowly growing. We're always looking for more subscribers there. But I don't think we have the same goals as most like YouTubers at the same
Right.
time. We're not looking to retire from our 9 to 5 to become a famous YouTuber. But at the
Mhm.
same time, listen, if I could retire off Patreon, that would be fantastic. But I think it's more enjoyment. It's being able, I love being in an educational role. I clearly love to talk. And so I have a lot of stories to share, and it's given me an outlet. It's given me a platform. I feel like we've gotten a little therapy out of this because telling our truth about the mayhem that competitors have put us through, both professionally and personally, um, felt like a weight of the world off of our chests because we'd been carrying that shit around privately for 15 years,
Mhm.
and being able to finally speak about it and not be afraid has been super empowering. I feel like we're better women, we're better business owners for it now. And our relationship has grown too, which
Mhm.
it sounds like, how could it get any deeper? Because really, we have zero secrets. Probably drought your banking and what your body looks like naked with my eyes closed and one hand behind my back, right?
Right.
That's how intermixed we are. But yet, this has been a whole new chapter, and therefore a whole new chapter of us. And that to me is the best part. No offense to Muse, to the girls, to the clients, the viewers, and everyone. But the more time I get with Riley, the happier I am always.
I love that. It's true though, because I mean, we work together and looking at these as two different companies, right? We work together for Muse every day. But
Mhm.
throughout the 15 years, we've gotten very comfortable in our roles and we both can do our job pretty much with our eyes closed. We know what to do,
Yeah.
how each other would want us to react in certain situations. But the pod is so new, we can't do it without each other. There is a lot of preparation, a lot more than I assumed going into this. I thought, oh, we'll sit down and chat once a week. Not the case. Um, we spend a lot of hours working on the pod, let's just say that, but they're hours spent together, and
Yeah.
that's fun, and it's us connecting on in a different way, not just about the spa. So I've really enjoyed that aspect of it, and I enjoy like every part of it, like even the hard parts, because as I said, it is a lot more work than we expected, but we're doing it together. We have, it's an experience. Even if we don't, retire from it, like you said, it's something we're going to look back on together and watch these episodes, because as much fun as it's been reliving these moments in our life, it's going to be even better to watch them back, a decade from now.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I can't wait. Like, it's again, I think if we're 80, I don't think it'll be cringy. I think it'll be really cute. We'll
I
be
hope
like,
so.
just look at us, we were babies. What did we know, right? Like it's kind of like, you look back at your high school yearbook when you're in college and you're like, "Oh, look at my stupid
Yeah.
hair. Why was that a fashion trend?" Whatever, whatever. But when you're 65, you look at your high school like yearbook and you're like, "Oh, look at all my dreams." Think of it in such a fluffy way that this is like archived forever
Yeah.
again on the internet. And I think that's just the sweetest thing, because regardless of the Emily and Riley role, we share a lot about our personal selves here,
Mhm.
and have revealed, I think, a lot more about our personal selves, especially in the 20 questions episodes, right? But it's given so much insight, not just to our personas, but to who we actually are as people.
Yeah.
And I think that builds a consumer trust. I think
Mhm.
it's why we have subscribers and patrons and all these things is we really care about this industry. We really care about our business. We really care about our ladies. And we give a shit about men and the clients that come in too, and our viewers. Like, I really
Mhm.
want everyone to feel better by the time they're done watching every episode.
Mhm.
Spending 20 minutes or an hour with us to tune in is really special in a world that moves so damn fast.
Mhm.
Um, and even when people miss we have a couple of people that travel a lot and they're like, I gotta catch up. And like
Right.
2 days later, they've binged through 7 episodes. And I'm like, you spent a whole day. I've only ever done that with like Succession, like
Right.
binge things like that. And people binge our content. I think it's really, really cool. I love it. Super neat.
So what are some of your like standout episodes, if you can think back, like your favorites?
Um, I love our first, I'd say episode 2 through 6, because we talked about episode 1, right? So 2 through like 6, I think, was when we revealed like the really like crazy, scary, weird shit that we've been through
Mm.
with our competitors trying to attack our lives, attack our business, shut us down, get us kicked out of the whole business altogether. Um, I would love to revisit them all in kind of like expanded episodes and go balls deep into those. Because there's like, we glaze over it a lot. There's a lot more in the play by play and a lot more to tell, a lot more to show and tell, like physical stuff as evidence.
Mhm.
Um, I've been doing some due diligence of going through the internet archives to find some of the old shenanigans that used to be online on websites that no longer exist. I think exposing that was what really convinced me that this is something we should do beyond
Mhm.
just the experiment of the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Because of how cathartic it was. I was like, oh, this is totally the right move for us. Because it in like tandem, it reinvigorated us in a
Yeah.
creative way that was totally an unexpected side effect. I did not expect that suddenly our innovation brains would be revigorated. I did not expect that we'd suddenly come up with like what, two, three new sessions, new ideas, new concepts for things, ideas that we had pushed to the wayside in year like 3 and completely forgot about.
Yeah.
And the timing of coming out of the pandemic, where everything just got kind of mundane in the sense that every business owner was just looking for survival at that point,
Yeah.
right? How do we catch up? How do we get back to where we were supposed to be? We were looking down, the tunnel of a renovation that was now 2 years overdue because of the panorama. And so I didn't think that all of a sudden we'd be like filled with 20 new ideas on
Mhm.
top of all of that. And those new ideas helped us with that recovery quite a bit.
Yeah.
It allowed us, I think, to make the decision to sell Vaughn become one of the best decisions that we've made, because I feel like if we still had our second location, we wouldn't have the time for this pod, first of all. Um, but it was like a transfer of like that extra space in our day, that extra energy, that extra everything. It wasn't like just suddenly like, okay, back to one. It was like, and we've got
Yeah.
this to do. And
We
then
left it with
that made
excitement.
Muse better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool the way that kind of all came to play. Um, and I really have to thank the feedback that we've gotten from customers, because they really helped in those early episodes. To show us this was the right move. And like,
Mhm.
it was the messages that were like, guys, I've known y'all for 12 years and I never knew you've been through all this. I
Right.
can't believe other people did this to you. And like those kind of things. It was like a hug and while we were being extremely vulnerable. Um, and yet it didn't increase nor dull the hate and the bullshit and the
No.
shenanigans that they still do to this day. It gave them a few more like social media platforms to fuck with us, but really it made me wonder, should we have said something sooner? Because we were afraid that like the world would come crumbling down if we did, and we'd
Right.
be, I don't know, taken out or something. Instead, it was like they're pissed, but like they're always pissed. So
Well, but
let Emily
listen,
be
we
Emily.
also don't expose them by name. I mean, those that know the industry really well might catch on to some things that we say, but in general, I don't even feel a need to say it by name. But the ability to speak our truth and not feel that we need to be silenced is liberating. And I mean, listen, we wouldn't have anything to talk about really if they just acted like normal people. So thank you for the content, guys.
For real.
Oh, hey, welcome back again to Just the Tip with Riley. So today we're talking about aftercare. And today again is less of a tip and more of my suggestion or a topic to discuss with you guys. In my opinion, aftercare is the least talked about aspect of sex and often a neglected portion of a sexual encounter. I think when most people think of aftercare, they often think of kink play or BDSM. And in those situations, it's absolutely vital. But I think it's also very important to incorporate into our regular sex life. Aftercare doesn't have to be extensive or long, but it should happen at least most of the time, especially after a particularly intense or draining sex session. If this tip isn't enough, subscribe to Patreon for the whole thing.
Listen, this is the way it goes though. Everything they do, it's like you're dumb. the way you do it. It's not what I would do, that's for sure. If I was into fuckery and had time and money to spare, like, which I can't even fathom doing because I'd rather put that into my own business. That's weird. Um, but like, it's like they do stuff ass backwards. Like, as
Right,
scary as those first couple years were, there was a bit of a lull afterwards because they ran out of shit to do. They did
right,
so much so fast that they would have been a lot better off if it was like a trickle of
right.
bullshit instead of a tsunami of bullshit. Because then they were like, now what do we do? Because listen, when you've called licensing on us, you've called police on us, you've called the Better Business Bureau and health inspectors, the tax man, this, that, and the other thing. Eventually they were like, there's nobody left to call. We do. And you know, if they had done one a year, that would have been enough of an interruption to screw with us, to rattle us in a new way. And they could have kept that going for 10 years straight because we would have been like, another thing? Instead,
Yeah.
it was so one after the other that we're like, well, this is life now for us. Like, we
Well,
just
and
embraced it.
we did. And I mean, even talking about them in the first few episodes, or kind of our journey in the industry, we really wanted to get that story out. And I know in the back of my mind, and I think we even communicated about this, that I was concerned. You know, we made this promise of episodes per week, and then we went into Patreon. Now we're doing 2 episodes. That will we run out of things to talk about? And somehow we never do. And even there's
Never.
some weeks when we're preparing them, like, shit, what are we going to talk about? Somehow, just in a 30-minute conversation, we've got 6 topics and we're good to go. Like, it seems to be, at least at this point, endless. Um, you know, whether it's highlighting certain issues in the industry or speaking to people in the industry, breaking stigma, like there's so much to discuss. Women's bodies have been some of the great episodes, or, you know, men's
Yay.
mental health. Like, there's been so many great topics that will be, you know, ever evolving that we can touch on again. But it's been such a fun journey. I loved it.
I completely agree with that. I mean, I was the one trying to point out to you, I'm like, no, wait, this is our expertise. This is what we know. We are
Yeah.
outliers for a reason. We've long hit our 10,000 hours. This is what we know inside out and backwards. And some things may seem repetitive to us, but you never
Mhm.
know what a new viewer is listening to. And, you
Yeah.
know, yes, we talk about something like communication all the time, but that can't be reinforced enough.
Mhm.
And it's the way that it applies to every little subject, whether we're talking about men's mental health, whether we're talking about mileage, whether we're talking about safety or the stigma or the laws. All of these things come down to very simple fundamentals. And it's not repetitive. It's actually our everyday, and every day at the spa is very, very different, right? There's different clients, different personalities and turn of events. And I feel like the sex industry is ever evolving. Sex in general is ever evolving.
Mhm.
There's trends, there's new toys, there's new things that like kind of come up. And listen, I say new. Ancient peoples are probably like, shit, we did that in the
Mhm.
1600s. So easy there. We think it's cool and new and fad, whatever. But I mean, this is a TikTok world where things happen in under
Yeah.
60 seconds, right? And no matter what, I feel like we'll never run out of content because there are always things until sex work is free in terms of rights and freedoms, until sex work is protected by certain laws and law enforcement and safety protections, we will always have things to talk about, whether Muse is open or we're, you know, retired and we're 95. We could still tell some stories, I'm sure. And relationships always change. So that could involve so many different dynamics. We are in the midst of a bit of a manager transition right now. We've got two moving into new phases of life. We've got two newbies coming in that are coming into a really strong team. I mean, these kind of transitions are always bumpy and interesting to outside eyes and outside ears.
Yeah.
Like, how does that happen? And to me, I'm like,
Mhm.
you hire a manager and you train them. But to other people, they're like, but it's a rub and tug. Like,
Right.
how? And so that piece always makes it different. And I think as we keep learning, we are only becoming more expert at what we already know. And so that in turn makes the pod better, makes Muse better, makes our jobs easier, makes our staff busier. Like, it's such a trickle effect of positivity from this. that it's really, really interesting and totally unexpected. I had no idea some of this stuff was going to kind of be the turnabout.
Mhm. It's such a journey. I've
It
loved
is.
it. I can't wait to see what the next year holds. And I feel like there is a few people without spending too much time on this that we should thank. And the first one that comes
Yes.
to my mind is our editor. She's back there somewhere. She is amazing. We
Toot
love
the
her.
horn.
We couldn't do without her, essentially, like at all. So thank you so much for being on this journey with us for the last year.
100%. And we have a big celebration coming up in 2025 with her that I can't wait for. But it's all part of, I think, our sentimental side to this because she puts in a lot of freaking work, puts up with us changing our mind all the
Yeah,
time, changing recording days, last minute scheduling changes. No, we can't put that on YouTube. It's got to go on
right.
Patreon and all this shit. And based on the product we see, she makes us look great. That's for damn sure. Because if it was up to us to do all that work, first of all, it wouldn't happen. Second of all, it would probably look like shit. Look like kindergarten's art projects instead.
Yeah.
She definitely makes us look better. Thank goodness. I will also shout out Dean Blundell because he has been an awesome supporter of us and Crier Media supporting us. Um, for someone who has such experience in broadcasting, whether you love him or hate him, he's always been a shock jock, so he's still going to shock you. But his
Yeah.
experience and his knowledge has been really helpful.
Mhm.
Um, his encouragement and feedback on how good our pod is and how good we are at this I think has been really motivating for both of us because
Mhm.
it's one thing when your mother says, "Oh, girls, that was so
Mhm.
lovely. I love your mom. She always says lovely
Yeah.
things," right? So it's like it's a warm cookie and a hug, and I'm like, but when he like breaks it down, he gets in his serious face, and he's like, "No, really, girls, like this is fantastic." I'm like, fantastic. It's just so different. I feel the same about guests that have trusted us. We had an awesome launch to season 2 with a very funny gent, a handsome fella, and he just rolled with it because of how we
Yeah.
present the pod.
Yeah, he was great. But I even remember being really nervous for that one. I think first I'm nervous for. I feel like our next guest that's coming up, I won't be as nervous, but I was terrified. I'm like, why? He's coming on my show. But I was terrified.
You know what? But he was great. So a shout out to
Yeah.
Tahoe.
Yeah.
Make sure y'all follow him on social media as well as the others. And follow his podcast. He's got a couple of them, but mostly we love the Hard and Soft show. I think it's
It's
my favorite.
spicy.
We think we're spicy. We are mild sauce.
Yeah.
And yet
100%.
fully inspired by what they do, fully inspired at their comfort level. Because
Hmm.
even when they're talking about raunchy things, or even things that I think are gross, they go full in on it and just
Yeah.
ask every question. And they film live in a studio all together, right? So when they have a guest, who are often people in the sex industry, they act shit out if they don't understand. They're like, I don't understand the position you're talking about. And they're like, get up, show me. And they
Yeah.
just dive right in. And I'm like, man, we worry about even what goes on Patreon. Like, was that too much that I said someone ate my vagina? Like, how vanilla are we? And I've never thought myself vanilla, but shows like that are so inspiring.
Yeah.
And I think there's a few really great podcasts that are like that. They're really raw and really raunchy, and I totally learned so much from them.
Mhm.
Um, and you're right, upcoming guests, we've got some girls coming into the
Mhm.
mix, and I'm thrilled about that. That's going to be super fun. I think the dynamic with a woman as a guest is going to be really cool.
Yes, I'm anxious for that. There's lots coming up in our next year. Um,
Yeah.
I know at the end we're going to play a reel for you guys, so make sure you stick around to watch it. It's just a highlight of our first year of Muse on the Mic, and I think it's going to be pretty funny. So make sure you stick around to see that.
I can't wait because I haven't seen the finished product yet, but I think we're hilarious. I think we are constantly hilarious. And my one of my missions in life is to always make you laugh, which is not always the easiest thing to do. But when we get giggling, I wish people would see the before and after because like
I
before
know.
we even start recording and you do the intro, we are always laughing. We are trying to compose ourselves. We start to giggle. One of us is like, hold on, I'm not ready yet. Then you're like,
It's
welcome
hysterical.
back to Muse on the Mic. It goes
Well,
into
you
like,
know what? I've
oh,
not laughed this much ever than I have in this year. Like literally, even during this episode, this movement in my cheeks hurt because it's not a normal motion for my face. So I do laugh a lot on the pod.
that makes my day. I would do this for free all day if that was the result. I swear to you. And I that comes from my dad. My dad is a very romantic fellow, and he used to tell me that his only goal was to make my mother laugh every day
Oh.
because if she's laughing, she doesn't hate me. She won't kick me out. It's a weird way to think about it. But I'd see him go through efforts to not be corny and try to make her laugh. And she can be a tough giggle sometimes too, right? And so when I see them cracking up, I was like, "Oh, Dad won the day." I mean, it's just an A plus and a gold star for that day. Tuesday, check. Like to me, I feel the same way. If I love you a lot, I want you to laugh, and I love you more than any human in the
Mm,
planet. So if I can make you laugh, especially that you're a tough nut, it makes it better because like I've won the challenge.
you definitely won the challenge.
If folks saw us on vacation when we're half in the bag, they'd be like, do these people ever keep a straight face? Because no, we don't.
Next vacation coming soon. I can't wait.
I love it. I love it. That's right. We're going to take the people a little bit more through the trip. That's going to be super
Mhm.
fun too. I love it.
So,
But those kind of opportunities, right? Like traveling with a podcast is very different than traveling without one. And opening up opportunities and business meetings and reasons why we go to certain destinations is really fucking cool too. Because who knew that just owning a little Robitussin, this little, we started as this little 3-room, little dinky, little holistic spa could ever take us to places like this. I think it's fantastic.
I think
So
it's
cool.
because our egos have always been big and we've always believed not only that we can, but we will. And
We
so
will.
here we are, rolling into year 2 of Muse on the Mic. And I'm so thrilled. I love doing it with you. And I can't wait to see what the next year has in store.
Same, Riley. I love you so much. I think that's like, I'm just waiting for the clips. I want to see this
Yeah,
reel.
let's go. Let's
I don't
go.
know if you have anything else to add or anything else to shout out, but any more favorite episodes or any favorite moments before we show the highlight? I can't wait to giggle at the highlights.
I have a bunch, but I want to
Oh,
see the
cool.
highlight reel.
Go through it.
You know what? I same as you. I like the early ones best, although I feel our execution more so mine than you. I wish I could redo. So I kind of like that
True.
idea of going balls deep with some of the topics. I will say the Mummy Dearest one was one of my favorites, just because I feel more comfortable, more natural to speak on something that is personal. And that
Mhm.
one was very personal for me. So I think it was the first time I really didn't over prepare for an episode. And I knew I wanted to discuss this and I knew how I felt. And that's a very easy recording to walk into. And I think the end result was great. And I know a lot of sex workers enjoyed it as well. So that's one that stands out to me. And then beyond that has to be like our Q&A episodes. I love how much fun we have and how much we reveal. And there's been a few questions you haven't told me the answer. So I'm still coming for you.
Listen, I know you have a list of those. There's lists of those that have gone since we first know each other. I avoid those questions like the plague. You know what? The Mommy Dearest one is such a good nod because I still send that episode to people. I'm very active on Twitter and I try to get with the podcast more engaged in just sex work Twitter instead of massage parlor Twitter
Right.
because we do appeal to such a broad audience that way. And I've recently seen a few tweets of women talking about different ages of children, but I remember one in particular, probably about a week or two ago, that was a woman whose teenage daughter, who's like 18, 19, just found out.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, like, is this something I should have talked about when she was 7? Or is this something she's going to want to do when she's legal? Like, where am I in this
Right.
process? And this poor woman was like, tweet after tweet about it. And I was like, oh my God, we did an episode about this. It might even help you figure it out. I sent her the link. She absolutely loved it. She ended up tweeting out the episode from her
Oh, awesome.
account. And it was just, I don't even know where she lived. It was somewhere in the US, but like could have been
Right.
someone like Utah, like just rando person who every sex worker as a mom encounters these questions, at least inside themselves, if
Mhm.
the turn of events don't actually happen in life. But you wonder, what would I say if, or what will I say when? And it's always uncomfortable. I feel like we've talked as well about like dating and how it can be weird to talk about. What do you tell a new person? What do you tell? How much does your husband even want to know about the day to day? Does he care to hear about so and so is, miss their shift again, or like the little
Mhm.
things, the big things? It all can be really strange how much we tell our families and, even friends that like, oh, how's business might be the gist of their questioning.
Mhm.
And so it allows people to learn a bit about how to navigate these things that, again, unfortunately, because of stigma, it
Mhm.
exists in the world as this awkward point. There's no other career where people feel awkward but talk about what they do for a living.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's really helped people made it even more sentimental. And it was already sentimental to film because I really wanted you to feel completely supported in that episode, and on that topic in your real life, so that not just educating viewers, but us talking it out. I think there was a
Mhm.
therapeuticness to that episode, very
Totally.
much so, where we could peel back a few layers or put aside some things that we might have been worried about that, like, maybe that's not really worth worrying about. Let's focus on
Mhm.
this, this, and this. And it really kind of narrowed the direction of your conversations with your kiddos. And, I love them to death too. So I want them to be set up for awesome and great things as well. And that includes being super proud of their mom because their mom's the best. I feel the same little bit of sentiment about our men's episodes.
I know you
I think
do.
they've been really impactful for the audience. And there's not enough voices, I think, out there that are talking positive things into men, that are kind of fueling the good sides of them and celebrating their worth and their place in this world. There's a lot of man bashing out there, and we
Right.
both hate that. So I feel like those episodes have been very, very fluffy to me too.
I know. I like those ones as well.
They're so good. They're so good. What else stands out for you?
Um, I don't know. I mean, all of it really. Nothing else that I wanted to touch on. Um, I think just like wait till we see this reel. I really think there's an evolution even in 1 year of our growth. And I know, Emily spoke about my growth on the pod, but let's face it, even you have grown so much. And as much as you're skilled with talking. Like it's just a natural gift for you and you're educated in our industry, but even watching you grow is tremendous in 1 year that I'm
Oh,
like, what will the next year hold? Because
I
it can
can't wait.
only keep evolving. And I'm really curious to see that journey and just keep having fun with you. It's been a blast.
I totally agree. This whole thing has been absolutely wild. The pod is going to get only better. Muse is going to get only better. Um, we're going to only get better. We're already aging like fine wine. Come on. There are people that don't believe our ages. And I'm like, sir, do some math because I met you in 2001.
You age us in our episodes all the time. I think when
I
we
do.
recorded like 2 weeks ago, you said it like I'm like, stop. Let there be, some wondering.
I mean, they can wonder, but at the same time, I'm like, listen, J-Lo's 51.
Right.
So 40 what?
I agree.
We live in a different era right now. The Golden Girls were 51.
Right. I know, but they age differently back then. That's weird.
It's true. It's a
Yeah.
shame. Would love to see Betty White still as a little spinner. All of these little topics and all these kind of throwback things I think are really cool, but it's the vision for the forward, like for the future and looking forward on it. I think our plans for the next year, we haven't even gotten through planning the year of the pod. We've gotten a little bit into, I'd say, the first quarter on what some of our goals and our plans are going to be, but we're going to be different people. We're going to be smarter and wiser. Again, I think Muse is going to be doing even better. Our staff will even be better and smarter and wiser, especially if they're listening to the pod. But also, I think the way we engage in conversations when we're with them or when we talk with them is a little bit more confident, a little bit more open,
Mhm.
and just more of the face forwardness because we're not shy. We're not shy about just, we're not shy on here. I'll tell them all the stories about when I used to work. We're
Yeah.
like, tell me something and I'll tell you when it happened to me.
Yeah.
Story for everything. We will one day in year two make a higher Patreon tier that will include some of my absolutely filthy stories. From my massage career for sure, Emily's Tales will definitely happen. And you know what? I would love our next year to have less Emily derangement syndrome because if like the haters and shit could worry about themselves, stop fucking with me, it would be fantastic. I think that the craziness that we've learned, we always learn how crazy they are, even when we think we've figured out all their moves. This pod has revealed some more of their moves where we're like,
Right.
wait, what? Like, how do they even have the care to do this? Why are they pissing away the money to do that? Like, I've never thought of dumber ways or reasons to spend money than the shit that they do. I'd rather buy useless things and clothes I don't need and stupid things where you look back going, why did I buy that? Like
Right.
these people buy the tens of thousands of dollars. And I'm like, get a life. That would be really cool. That could just go away for a little bit. You do y'all and we'll do us and mind your goddamn business. Literally mind your business. Because they'd be busier and better if they spent less time worrying about what the heck we do. It would be absolutely interesting. And we
Those are
know that they listen to the pod. So
fun. I
that's my
love that.
message.
Hi, guys.
Hi. Hi, friends. Kisses, like Riley says.
So one of the fun parts about the pod from the beginning, because we're like, they're going to watch it. Like, we know they're going to. And, not that we don't mind having, views and all the things, but at times we've thought, do we need to censor what we say? No, we don't need to censor anything. No, I know you're not going to like it. We know you don't like us, but that's fine. You don't have to keep watching.
They're lucky we're not Gen Z and don't live TikTok this shit. Because with some of the crap that's been going on in the past couple months, these would make viral moments. This would be more interesting than who the fuck did you marry or who the hell is demure and mindful and all these other trends that happen. It would go absolutely viral and we would be broadcasting all of it because look, if you're Gen Z, that's just what you do. Some drama happens and you whip out your phone and you're like, hey guys, let me tell you what the fuck just happened right now. I met a Karen. Look at her in the background. Like it's like live in action. And we'd be like, guess what we just found out? And we'd be all over it. So y'all are lucky. You're lucky that we're not of that era.
So funny.
It's super fun. Well, I'm eager to get to the reel. I know we can talk about it, but I just want to see it.
Me
You
too.
ready?
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. Like the video. Check out the reel that's about to play. Share the video across all platforms. Subscribe to the channel. And we will see you for the beginning of year 2 of MUSE On The
Thanks for
Mic.
joining us, guys.
Bye, guys. Welcome, everybody, to MUSE On The Mic, our new podcast. I am Emily Muse.
I'm Riley.
And we are so happy to invite you guys to watch our first episode. Almost unable to hear them because all I could hear was the sound of my own heartbeat. Just
Right.
like boom, 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 like throbbing in my ears. And we're like, what the F is happening right now? We were much younger. We were definitely brazen. And to say it bluntly, fearless.
We had some big balls, that's for sure.
We definitely do. It was this like contrast of how rebellious we are, how like we were not going to be stopped. This is the tale of Emily and Riley.
So you go to a bright side of this because I took my revenge. We're sitting at the back of the spa and we look down the hallway and see like smoke barreling out of a room. And we're like, what in the fuck is happening? Like our business is on fire. What's going on? I feel like Emily and I are a mullet. So I'm the business in the front and she is the party in the back. Like we are, as much as it's true.
I have tears dripping down my boobs. I can't imagine.
We're taking getting wet to a whole new level here today.
Woo, not the kind we thought we'd be diving into. Do you remember the first time a mom showed up at the spa?
Yep.
We're rocking and rolling. We're just pushing out the content, having a blast, drinking a little wine while we're at it. Pardon me. It's yours. It says, wow.
You're so cute.
And it
Guys,
worked. You got fired up about it. I'm excited to see the manual again. Little do you know.
and I told them the next time and forever and a day, check the back of the damn door because you missed a whole scene. Minutes later, she returned with some ice and a towel. Yeah,
It's just terrible. I mean, that deal never went through. For those of you that don't know, I'm seriously blonde at times. Like I really do forget things. But anyways, oh, you have your horn. I don't.
Again, the big red flag guy. It's like he's running all over the park right now. Yeah. This flag is everywhere. The flag even needs to be bigger because this is fucking insane. This is insane. The fiasco was so bad.
Two idiots come flying through the door with some balloons, and they're probably like, "Who is that?" And they're like, "Those are the owners of MUSE."
Fools.
That's when he made an entrance.
A tech mishap. We're just about to wrap up this episode, and Riley's camera died. So I'm going to thank you all for coming and joining us. Woohoo! It's glorious.
So my little girlfriend.
Go hum something.
I know. I'm going to go take a little break, I think, after this.
Okay, I'll see you in a bit. Bye, guys.
We're talking about all-inclusive pricing, or the structure of all-inclusive pricing, which we are the pioneers of, thanks to MUSE.
I love these horns so much.
It's our birthday. We are 15 years old today. I would tell her shit. I wouldn't even tell Jesus. She is just that rock.
Oh, I love you. Their career choice inspires them sexually.
Right.
Like, what is this life? It's amazing. Yes. I did it.
Emily is so good at this stuff that then, I mean, as much as I love and appreciate it, then I'm like, fuck, what am I going to do for her? Like, nothing I'm going to do is going to come even close. Like, she sets the bar so damn high. I'm just like, I can't get up there.
And more orgasms for everybody.
Yeah. Yes. Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome to season 2 of MUSE on the Mic. I'm Riley.
And I'm Emily.
When I walked into the room, he had his head in the milking table. Poor guy was so confused and embarrassed. And I died.
And the fact that we are women, empowered and able to do that for other women is, to me, the cream of the crop. It is why I love MUSE for what it is. I think it's why we make the splash we do. And I think your kids are going to be super proud of you for that.
The honesty.
Never in the history of Hodom.
I love that.
Hodom is my favorite word ever now. It's going in the lexicon. Another one of those look yourself in the mirror moments. It's like, what are you doing with your life right now?
Well, listen, Emily is an educator, and sometimes that's hands-on education.
Hands-on education, people. You did that thing again. Shitty. It's just shitty. It's really shitty. Yeah. I
feel like I need a clarifying question, but no, I won't. Being a sex worker is not an easy life, guys. As much as people think it's easy, there's nothing easy about it. Foreplay is exciting. We talk about this, right?
Do this for Riley for a moment?
Listen, I do this job for a reason. I have some information, some knowledge.
It's crazy to think. It was so scary and so risky.
But it was a good one. I knew that you needed to let that one out. It was coming.
It bothers me so much. It's so beyond hypocritical. Get in there, get deeper, get further, dig in, try it, try all the things, get on all fours, arch your back.
There you go.
Spread your cheeks and enjoy yourself. He's on to something. And that's when I would start hip thrusting right on back, because we are going to make you ugly spit everywhere right now.
My preference is lights off or like a dim mood. But I know most men like the lights up. It's like a doctor's office generally.
I mean, it wouldn't be for us based on our career. If anything, it would be career booster. Watch out for our MUSE On The Mic coffee table book one day.
It could
Put
really
out.
skyrocket the pod, Emily.
It's true. It's true. And I'm like,
Wow.
you're welcome.
Well
You're
done,
fucking welcome.
Emily.
But get into it.
If you have enough ass that you've got a nice ass, then likely your tummy's not as flat as it should be. Like the whole thing is just fucking impossible. Give it a
That
try
part.
and don't always, it's not all about face value.
That part, underline, exclamation mark. We wouldn't put it out there if it wasn't fantastic. Egos are probably too strong for them to stomach. I get that. The fact that we have a podcast and there's people that look at our faces every week probably pisses them right off. And look at all these fucking girls. They had dirty mouths that were so vulgar. I was like, oh,